Good morning. Welcome back to new trading week. Um, it's a little early, so this may be a pre-market to the pre-market. We've got about an hour and 10 minutes left for the open, and we might rattle around in here and things won't change much. So I'm going to just go ahead and map this out a little bit to start with. You can see the chart again. We're in one of those dynamics where everything seems kind of on top of each other. There's a lot of stuff to consider. But let's back up and take a broader view for a minute. Let's go out to the monthly. I find it's good to kind of start from the top and come in when we're starting a new week or a new month or something. So I've had this trading range in the monthly, right? And we have this big long shadow coming up in December, and we're now back into that range. However, we do have a little channel action going on. We're not up to this channel yet. So I've got two of them here. They don't really play into today necessarily. So they're kind of a little bit of ways. They could, but I'm going to leave that go for now. Let's remove this here. Okay, let's move down to the weekly. Got basically a retracement. You can see the channel a little more clearly here. We've been one-time framing up on the weekly. However, right now we've got an inside week so far. So we're inside last week's range. Okay, you can see a channel a little bit better here. This is about 2604 is the way I mapped it. About 2604. Got that accounted for in the profile chart. One thing I'd say as far as whether we're going to get continued upside today or not, I don't know, but it does seem we have. Let me just test it. I haven't checked it yet. I always like to do snap to higher low here just to make sure it's pretty tight. I'll move it. Okay. So we don't really have equality yet. I'll leave that there. Daily. All right, this chart is pretty much mapping the averages. I'm going to remove this. I think, let me double check something before I remove that. 4. That'll be all right. Okay. I clean that up a little bit. So the purple line, again, is the monthly VPOC. And I'm going to go ahead and do this. I did this on my other chart book. Yeah, I thought I'd breeze right through all this. Kind of had it mapped out, but there we go. Once in a while, I just got to clean things up a little bit. As busy as, especially my profile chart might seem to look, I do like to keep them simple and keep them clean. But the more I can understand what they're doing, the simpler it is. So it's important to note that we have declining volume. This is very important. I think I was talking about it last week, but it's clear the divergence here is very clear. Got oversold stochastics on this chart. I can't believe I'm using these terms I don't like sometimes. Oversold. It's not oversold. It'll sell as long as it sells. Oversold. It's just a dumb name. So it does often, though, signal, especially if it gets in a range rotational, it does sort of follow those. So it is kind of important. I mean, you can even just see peaked out, came down, peaked to the bottom, came up, so on. But it can stay up there for a long time, so it doesn't mean it's reached the top. All right, let's go back over here. The profile. Let's look at a 60-minute. And I got this circular thing going here. What does that mean? Well, okay, this is going to be a little bit unruly. Wish I just had a freestyle draw tool. Okay, this isn't good for what I'm trying to point out here. So let's never mind on that. Basically, there's a possibility this could arc over all the way back down to this 25-24 area. And unfortunately, I don't have this extending any further back. Yeah, I'm getting into other areas I didn't plan to for this pre-market. All right, let's just take a look at the profile. This is what's important. So we haven't moved since I started the video. And one thing I did is I changed this gray area. So a lot of this is the same from Friday, Thursday. I changed the gray area. Now it's from 78 to 68.50. That's where we've rotated in. I want to point out that when we came down on Friday in the overnight, we traded right around in between 82 and 87, which I'd had that on there, right? So that's trading range. Broke out of it to the downside. Got a new distribution down here, and we are. This was in the trading range was sort of like off center, but it's sort of related to that. But I made it a lot more clear and coinciding with what the most current market is doing. So let's look over here at I drew these last week, right? You can see how this is kind of related to that, you know. Going back over here, it's filling it out, which is something I had an idea I'd talked about before. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this now because I've already talked about it, but I left it there because here we are. You can almost like Pangea effect. It just fits right in there. See? Okay. So got a new TPO 830 in the overnight just now. Looks like they're going to hold it here possibly. I haven't checked the news yet, and all right. Well, you can see where I got the range from, and you can see where I've got the blue areas for possible buyers to step in, and the red areas for sellers to step in. Right now, we're trading between those areas. I think they're pretty good plays for right now. In this area for longs and for shorts, we got an hour to go. But if we remain in here, I can see a lot of chopping around at first. One big takeaway is that we are opening below value and below range. So right now well, that's an hour from now, but right now we are gapping down just a little bit. It's a very small gap. We're gapping up down in sort of a balance area on a longer time frame. It's been rotational for the last several hours. So I would expect it to have to kind of break out of there with a lot of, it's kind of boxed in a little bit as illustrated by the chart. So you can see the areas where one might buy or sell. I'm gonna make them a little bigger. This is just for starters, unless we get out of here by the open. So I'm gonna end the video there. I didn't want it to go this long anyway. As far as news goes, let's see here. Really not much happening today. Okay, so that even bespeaks a little bit more with, at least as far as I can tell. Let me check my times again. Yeah, all right, that's all right. So not a lot of U.S. news today anyway. Of course, the government, as far as I know, is still shut down. So anytime that anything was to come with that, that might make a difference. But right now, we've got the prevailing idea is that we're opening below range, below value, a bit of a gap down. It's been rotational, not a lot of news on the books. I think traders might use any area, any inflection point for an excuse to trade. So watch out for that, which actually can be good. And that's what we've got going on. So um, again, once we get above the red, they become blue and potentially buying areas. And then this is for reversals. Any kind of trending thing, it's better to go with. But as long as it's rotational, you want to play some edges, and watch for the auction to dry up to the upside, and sellers to step in, and auction to dry up to the downside, and buyers step in, that kind of thing. So you got your own techniques. I've got mine. This is just an overview, so and a roadmap. So, all right, thank you. And this was about 10 minutes, and kind of a pre-market. So maybe back just before the open.